Glorious has been an increasingly popular brand in the gaming community. I know them best for their phenomenal Model O and Model D gaming mice, but they first started to make some major waves in the PC gaming industry with their glorious modular mechanical keyboard. The GMMK was the world's first for a modular mechanical keyboard with RGB lighting. Years later, here they are again trying to shake up the industry with their new GMMK Pro, an ultra-premium gasket-mounted modular keyboard with a 75% layout. This keyboard should appeal to anyone wanting a compact form factor, but also doesn't want to sacrifice the aero and productivity keys from larger keyboards. The GMMK Pro currently comes in two different colorways, Black Slate and White Ice. The retail price is $169.99, and keep in mind that this is a bare bones kit, so you'll need to provide your own switches and keycaps. Special thanks to Glorious for sending us the Black Slate model along with a slew of accessories. I'm going to be focusing today's video on the GMMK Pro along with their Glorious Panda switches and a few of their accessories. As for the other accessories that I missed today, I'll be dropping another video on those very soon, so stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get started. Inside the box you have an insert from Glorious PC Gaming Race, a Glorious Ascend sticker, the GMMK Pro itself, a braided Type-C USB cable, some extra gasket strips, a plastic orange keycap puller, and a small metal switch puller. Before we move on, I just want to point out that I absolutely love the execution on the packaging. The attention to detail was really obvious, from the design of the box to the actual unboxing experience itself. The extra thick foam packaging was also much appreciated. Anyway, enough of that, let's go ahead and take a look at the GMMK Pro itself. Here it is, and I know I say this a lot, but seriously, this thing is beautiful. This is the Black Slate model, and the black paint on the CNC aluminum case looks really good. I believe it's anodized, but either way, the black has just a little bit of sheen to it with somewhat of a metallic finish. It stands out, but in a good way. Also, it's not matte, so keep in mind that it will attract some fingerprints. This might not be the case with every board, but my copy came out pristine. There's honestly no nicks, scuffs, or any scratches. The aluminum was machined really well. When it comes to the design of the keyboard, the GMMK Pro is really sleek. It's a simple design, but there's definitely some elements that set it apart from other keyboards. The top case is rather blocky, but with the rest of the body, you have a lot of straight lines and soft corners and angles. The frame is high profile, so you might need to consider getting a wrist rest. Glorious has you covered here, as they do have a few options for both wooden and padded, with each coming in multiple sizes for different keyboard lengths. On both sides of the case, you have an acrylic diffuser built in to showcase the 8 side LEDs on each side of the PCB. So in addition to that per key RGB lighting, you can also customize for some side glow lighting as well. One of the things I like the most about the design of the GMMK Pro is how the F-row, productivity, and arrow keys are sectioned off. This is not a new revolutionary thing or anything, but there's no doubt that anyone looking at this knows that it's an enthusiast grade keyboard. Taking a look at the bottom, you have a rather large engraving of Glorious front and center. I typically don't like a lot of branding, but I think this looks awesome. The engraving here is actually really deep and looks pretty cool. There are 4 rubber feet. They're circular in shape and quite small, but they're actually pretty grippy and fairly dense. The feet are also recessed into the bottom casing, so that should prevent them from slipping off. On the center of the back side of the keyboard, you have a lone Type-C USB port. It is significantly recessed, so be aware of that, but it does seem spacious enough to accommodate most cables. The benefit of this design is the metal connector on the USB cables is covered, so it gives the keyboard a cleaner, more streamlined appearance. The included Type-C cable has a length of 6 feet, though I'll probably be using one of Glorious's new Coiled cables, which have a shorter length of 4.5 feet. They feature double braided sleeving, super tight coils, and a heavy duty metal aviator. I have the Nebula colorway here, but if you're not into purple, there are 3 other colorways available: Crimson Red, Phantom Black, and Ghost White. They all retail for $49.99 each, which is probably going to be a little steep for most, but that's the price you pay for aesthetics when you get into custom boards. Back to the GMMK Pro. When it comes to the typing angle, there aren't any adjustable feet, so it's fixed at 6 degrees. I personally think it's a great angle for gaming, but still very comfortable for typing overall. One of my favorite keyboards is the Novel Keys NK65 V2, but in my opinion, the typing angle on it is a little steep at 8 degrees, and it's personally not my favorite to game on. The GMMK Pro also features a Rotary Encoder. It offers limited rotation in either direction, and the knob is also clickable. It's fully programmable, and by default it controls volume and media. I'm seeing some mixed reactions on this, but I personally love it, as I am almost always listening to music when I'm working on my desktop. The detents on the knob are easy to grip onto. You can feel the stepping as you turn the knob, but it is on the softer side for tactility. There's also a little bit of play, but you don't really notice it during normal use. The knob is held into place with friction, so it is interchangeable. You can easily replace or customize it with the gold or white ice models, which are $9.99 on Glorious's website. The GMMK Pro has an overall length of 332mm, a width of 135mm, and a height of 32mm when measuring to the top of the case. The barebones keyboard with the included goat stabilizers weighs in at a substantial 1,440 grams grams on my scale. Now let's move on to the internals, which are easily accessible. There are 8 Phillips screws on the bottom of the keyboard that you can remove to take off the top case. The GMMK Pro is gasket mount. I'll put a link in the description below to an article by Keyboard University explaining the different mounting styles. Essentially, a keyboard's mounting style will have a significant impact on its acoustics and overall feel. In this case, the gasket mount provides for a more dynamic and cushioned typing experience. On the top case, you have 11 gasket strips, and on the bottom case, you have 12. These strips are a bit thin, but you can reinforce them if needed, with extras that Glorious kindly included in the box. The PCB features hot swap sockets that should be compatible with all of your 3-pin and 5-pin mechanical switches. They are south-facing, which is a good thing for those that may be concerned about compatibility with certain keycaps. However, for those interested in keycaps with shine-through legends, this might potentially be a con, as most shine-through keycaps have legends that are north-facing. There are 8 additional LEDs on each side of the PCB, and as far as RGB goes, all of the LEDs appear to be plenty bright. However, I'm not expecting the greatest RGB experience on the black Slate model, as the black is naturally going to mute colors a little bit. Moving back to the mounting style, the default aluminum plate is secured to the PCB by 2 centered standoffs screwed in from the top side of the plate and 12 screws connected from the bottom side of the PCB. The plate is interchangeable, and Glorious offers 2 additional plate options, brass and polycarbonate, which retail for $49.99 and $19.99 respectively. Brass is more rigid while polycarbonate is more flexible. I think the aluminum is very well balanced and will do just fine for most, but just know that you can swap out plates if you want a different typing feel and sound, or just want to customize a bit. Speaking on acoustics, the GMMK Pro also comes with 2 sheets of sound dampening EVA foam, one between the bottom case and the PCB, and the other wedged in between the plate and the PCB. This should help minimize any unwanted reverb and case ping. I think that pretty much covers most of the keyboard. Let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be customizing it with. Here are the Glorious Panda switches. They come in packs of 36, retail for $24.99, and mine are lubed from the factory with Glorious's proprietary G-Lube. By now, I think everyone's heard of the Holy Pandas, which are some highly regarded tactile switches in the mechanical keyboard industry. I won't get into the complicated history, but Glorious claims that their Panda switches were created from the resurrected original Enver housing molds. Just like the Holy Panda switches, the Glorious Pandas feature a polycarbonate top housing and a nylon bottom shell. Because Drop currently owns the rights to the original stem, the stems on the Glorious Pandas are a little bit different, but in my experience they closely resemble the stems on Drop's Holy Panda switches, and they're composed of super smooth POM sourced from Japan. Let's go ahead and install each for a quick sound comparison. Taking the Glorious Panda apart, I did find an adequate amount of lube on all of the important areas. I found the application of the lube, however, to be a little bit inconsistent. The Glorious Pandas snap in and fit very snug on the GMMK Pro. There's minimal stem wobble, and overall, I wouldn't say that they're better, but I honestly think that these are a solid and cheaper alternative to Drop's Holy Panda switches. If that's not enough to convince you to buy these, they also come with an Evil Panda sticker.
Shut up and take my money!
Next up, we have the sound test. I'll spend some more time with the keyboard and give you guys my final impressions. Alright, time for some final impressions. I actually spent an obscene amount of time with the GMMK Pro before writing and filming this final review. In summary, I really enjoyed my experience with this keyboard. It's been my main for the past few weeks, and honestly, I can't see myself switching to anything else in the near future. It's not perfect, but it's a really solid choice for custom boards, and it comes at a great value. It's absolutely incredible what Glorious is doing to bring custom premium keyboards into the mainstream market. It's 2021, and still we have yet to see custom keyboards from the biggest brands in gaming. Razer, HyperX, SteelSeries, and others. To my knowledge, Logitech with their G Pro X keyboard is the only big name implementing hot swap, and there's just no comparison here in terms of quality. I like to give credit where it's due, and I think Glorious deserves a ton of it. We're definitely going to see other brands follow suit in the near future. Anyway, enough of my soapbox. What do I like specifically about the GMMK Pro? This keyboard has pretty much all of the hot trending features in custom boards. It's got 5-pin hot swap, a metal CNC aluminum case, per key RGB LEDs with side lighting, a programmable rotary encoder, gasket mount unlike your typical tray mount keyboard, 2 levels of sound dampening foam, screw-in stabilizers, and is currently compatible with GMK open source firmware. These are just a handful of the GMMK Pro's features. Now, this wouldn't be a full review video without discussing the negatives, so let's go ahead and dive right into those. The stabilizers, which Glorious warmly refers to as GOAT, aren't really the greatest of all time. They're pre-clipped, lubed from the factory, and honestly do a great job, but there is still some room for improvement. I'm very content with the backspace, enter, and left shift stabs, but I find myself wanting more with the spacebar stabs. The spacebar of my beautiful GMK laser set sounds a bit hollow, rattly, clackety clack, whatever, but it's not the most desirable for a custom board. The stabs here are definitely good enough for most users, but a hardcore enthusiast is probably going to look to modify these. They are of the better quality screw-in type, but keep in mind that there are several reports out there of people running into fitment issues with certain stabs on the GMMK Pro's metal plates. The sound dampening does a phenomenal job for the most part, but if I had to be super critical, there are a few hotspots that have pronounced case ping. The Glorious Core software is also a work in progress. I was able to customize all of my usual keybinds and tinker with the RGB just fine, but it's not very intuitive. For example, let's say I start out with a solid white color and simply want to make my WASD keys red, because I'm a gamer and I want everyone else to know about it. Easy enough, but then I'd suddenly change my mind and want to go back to a preset RGB mode like spiraling wave. Doesn't work. Why? You have to go back and erase everything first. You need to return to the per key tab, hit the eraser icon and all in your quick key selection, and then save to erase everything first. A little more involved than I prefer. I will give Glorious some slack here since there are 18 juicy RGB effects right out of the box, including a Kamehameha mode. Pretty rad. Another example, let's say I'm setting up my usual keybinds and I want to make page up into home and page down into end. Page up doesn't want to save. It doesn't save because you have to input keys one at a time and save in between each one. Just a fair warning for those that bind a lot of keys and are looking for customizations on 3 of the possible profiles. Like I said, not very intuitive and a work in progress, but because you can customize lighting, keybinds, and macros too, Glorious Core is still overall a very capable software. For the enthusiasts out there, GMK and EVA open source firmware are currently supported. As for everyone else, the GMMK Pro also has a generous array of hotkey shortcuts ready to go out of the box. FN paired with other keys will allow you to do everything from adjusting the RGB lighting to media controls and opening up different apps. Now this next thing I don't view as a positive or negative, but here's a heads up for those looking for keycap sets for the GMMK Pro. It has a 75% layout, so you'll need to ensure that you have 1U, Alt, FN, and Control keys, a 1.75U right shift key, and the correct row height for the productivity keys on the right. All the other keys are standard layout and easy to find. The most important thing about a keyboard is the typing experience, and the GMMK Pro offers an excellent one. I have several keyboards with metal casings, and the typing experience on those is a bit harsh at times. I like the precision on them, but bottoming out can be very unforgiving. I don't feel that way with the GMMK Pro. You get to keep the durability of a metal keyboard, and the gasket mount allows for a really balanced typing feel. Typing on this keyboard feels solid but still comfortable. I feel super productive with this board and also very confident when gaming. Overall, I am honestly very impressed and beyond content with the GMK Pro, and for me, it's an easy recommendation. Glorious set out to create a premium custom keyboard for enthusiasts, gamers, and professionals. I think they've done just that. The GMMK Pro retails for $169.99, it's feature-packed, and it presents a phenomenal value. We're technically still in the pre-launch phase for this product, and it's $100 down to reserve it. The $100 goes towards the total cost of the keyboard when it comes through, and don't worry, it's fully cancelable and refundable. Glorious also offers a generous 2-year warranty with the GMMK Pro, so clearly they're very confident in their keyboard and are doing everything they can to contend with other big name brands in the keyboard industry. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the review. If you're interested in the GMMK Pro or any of the products in the video, my affiliate links will be in the description below. Anything earned is much appreciated and will go directly into growing this channel and making new content. Any questions, drop a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, please hit that thumbs up button and support the channel by subscribing. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I gotta go eat some rice. This is Lil Rice Muncher Gaming, signing off. Thanks.